Unit 11. Cant lingu spear verterb volu/volv fac Cant, from the Latin verb cantare, meaning sing, produces several words that come directly from Latin. But some others came to English by way of French, which added an H to the root, giving us such words as chant and chanty. Cantata, a musical composition, particularly a religious work from the 17th or 18th century, for one or more voices accompanied by instruments. Composers of the 18th century composed sacred cantatas by the dozen, and Bach's friend G. P. Telemann actually wrote over 1,000. A cantata is sung, unlike a sonata, which is played on instruments only. The most famous cantatas are by Johann Sebastian Bach, who wrote the music for about 200 religious cantatas, using hymns and new religious poems as his texts. His cantatas consisted of several different sections for different voices, solos, duets, and choruses. Some of his non-religious cantatas have been performed like mini-operas. Incantation 1. A use of spells or verbal charms spoken or sung as part of a ritual of magic. 2. A formula of words used in, or as if in, such a ritual. He repeated the words slowly over and over like an incantation. Incantation comes directly from the Latin word incantare, enchant. Incantare itself has cantare as a root, which reminds us that magic and ritual have always been associated with chanting and music. Incantations have often been in strange languages. Abracadabra is a not-so-serious version of an incantation. Cantor, an official of a Jewish synagogue who sings or chants the music of the services and leads the congregation in prayer. The congregation waited for the cantor to begin the prayers before joining in. The cantor is, after the rabbi, the most important figure in a Jewish worship service. A cantor not only must possess an excellent singing voice, but also must know by heart long passages of Hebrew. Cantors such as Jan Pearce and Richard Tucker became international opera stars. The comedian and singer Edward Israel Iskowitz renamed himself Eddie Cantor for his original profession and became enormously popular on stage, screen, radio, and television for over 40 years. Descant, an additional melody sung above the principal melody. The soprano added a soaring descant to the final chorus that held the listener spellbound. The prefix -, meaning to or apart, indicates that the descant is a second song apart from the main melody. In popular songs, a descant will often be sung at the very end to produce a thrilling climax. Lingu comes from the Latin word that means both tongue and language, and in English today tongue can still mean language, as in her native tongue. Our expression slip of the tongue is just a translation of the Latin phrase lapsus lingui. The root even shows up in a slangy-sounding word like lingo. And since lingu changed to langue in French, our word language is related as well. Linguistics, the study of human speech. The new speechwriter, who had majored in linguistics, was soon putting his knowledge of the deceptive tricks of language to good use. Any analysis of language, including 8th grade grammar, can be called linguistics. As recently as 200 years ago, ordinary grammar was about the only kind of linguistics there was. Today, a linguist may be a person who learns foreign languages, but the term usually refers to people who devote themselves to analyzing the structure of language. Many linguists concentrate on the history of a language, others study the way children learn to speak, others analyze the sounds of a language, and still others just study English grammar, a subject so big that you could easily spend your entire life on it. Multilingual, using or able to use several languages. She soon discovered that he was truly multilingual, fluent in not only the German and Polish he had grown up speaking, but in English and Arabic as well. The roots of multilingual come from Latin, see multi. If you happen to prefer Greek, use the synonym polyglot, in which poly has the same meaning as multi- and glot means the same thing as lingual. The best way to become multilingual is probably to be born in a bilingual, two-language household. Learning those first two seems to give the mind the kind of exercise that makes later language learning easy. Lingua franca, a language used as a common or commercial language among peoples who speak different languages. That first evening in Tokyo, she heard English being spoken at the next table, and realized it was serving as a lingua franca for a party of Korean and Japanese businessmen. In the Middle Ages, the Arabs of the Eastern Mediterranean referred to all Europeans as Franks, the name of the tribe that once occupied the land we call France. Since there was plenty of Arab-European trade, the traders in the Mediterranean ports eventually developed a trading language combining Italian, Arabic, and other languages, which almost everyone could more or less understand, and it became known as the Frankish language, or lingua franca. Some languages actually succeed in becoming lingua francas without changing much. So, when the Roman Empire became vast and mighty, Latin became the important lingua franca, and at a meeting between Japanese and Vietnamese businesspeople today, English may well be the only language spoken.